If you're about to set your action to be update record and what's provided right here just doesn't seem enough, you've come to the right place. Whatever the reason is that update record doesn't cover your bases, I've got a better option for you. Now, you may not like snakes, and I'm not saying that you have to hold this one because heaven knows I have difficulty with that too, but Python is super useful, so we're going to use that in this instance here. Using execute code, we can use Python code to set values for individual fields, or we can write to many fields at the same time. Now, I'm going to assume that you've watched a few of my other videos on Python. If not, you should do that. But there is so much we can do with Python before we set the value of the field. We can calculate that value, we can grab it from somewhere else inside of our database. There's a bunch we can do here. All that being said, we're here to show you how to use two different methods to update fields with Python. There's a third method. A lot of the community kind of sees it as black magic though. So if you want to hear about it, you're going to have to drop a comment below. So the first way to update these values you may have seen in my other videos, but essentially we're going to call our current record. That's to say the current record that we're on in this model when our trigger happens. Okay, but now we need to decide what single field we're going to update and what we're going to update it with. So we're going to set up a kind of silly example here real quick. So our company is kind of interesting in the way we deal with people. We're going to say this person likes to be addressed as the salesperson's new best friend. So we're going to say address as, add that field. And then we're going to update this field when the salesperson is updated. So our first step here is to grab our technical name. Okay. And we're going to stick this inside of the apostrophes here to say we want to set this equal to something. And just to be clear, we've already set up our trigger to run off of when the salesperson is updated. So you need to do that first. But if you don't know how to do triggers, go ahead and check out my other video about that. So to do this properly, we're going to build out a variable. And we're going to call it address as, okay? And then we're going to grab a few different pieces here. So we're going to get record dot, and we're going to grab the salesperson's name. So let's go down here. We've got salesperson. So salesperson is user ID. Okay, so we're going to say set record dot user ID dot, and we're going to real quick look at a salesperson and grab their name, which thankfully is name. You didn't want to guess that though. So now we have record dot user ID dot name. Now this is a string, so we can attach it to another string. And we're going to say plus, and we're going to put an S, the possessive S. We're going to say new best friend. Then we're going to take this new variable, and we're going to set the new address as field to equal this variable. So we're going to go through and save all of this real quick. And let's go ahead and test it. So we're going to go into Anita Oliver real quick. She doesn't currently have a salesperson, so we're going to set that as Mitchell admin, and then we're going to save. And you can see now we are to address Anita Oliver as Mitchell admin's new best friend. Now looking beyond the ramifications of me having a bunch of new best friends and us using snakes to do our work, this is a great way to set the value for a field. But what if we want to set the value of several fields at once? Well, there's a way we can do that too. So what we're going to use here is what's called the write method. Now, looking at this, if you've seen my video on the create method, this is going to look very similar. Basically, we're saying for the current record, go ahead and write this value to this field, and we can stick as many fields as we want here. But for this one, we're going to do less of a silly example and more of a practical one that I've seen used by many companies to great success. So we're over on sales order now, and you may or may not be familiar with these fields, but it would make sense for us to set it up so that our sales orders are confirmed based on an online signature or an online payment, or both, based on our payment terms for the customer. So we're going to go ahead and add a few fields here to help illustrate our example. So to keep the video a bit more brief, I added a Boolean field for online signature, one for online payment, and one for payment percent. These are meant to mirror our fields over here on the sales order for online signature, online payment, and percent of the payment. So we now have three fields that we want to set the value of. So require signature is going to be one of them. We grab that, copy it, move it over here. We're going to grab another line real quick. Paste, paste, get rid of the comma at the end of the last one. So require signature, we've already got. Online payment is going to be require payment for the Boolean here. Okay. And then we need to get the payment percentage. So prepayment percent is what we're going to grab real quick. bring that over here. And I need to make sure this record.write doesn't cause us problems. Now we need to go ahead and replace these values with the value that we're actually pulling. So we're going to say record dot, and then we're going to go back into our sales order, discard the changes I was messing with, go to payment terms, and we want payment term ID. So record.payment term ID, current payment term for the record. And we're going to come over here, and we're going to grab our fields that we're setting here. So online signature Boolean, we're going to say goes right here. So dot that. And we're going to copy this just to make our lives a little bit easier. Place these values. Okay, and then we're going to come over here, online payment. This is to say yes or no for online payment. So our Boolean. And then we're going to come back and get our payment percentage and plug that in right here. And now we're looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and save everything, and we're going to test it. And of course, we've already set our trigger up to run when we change the payment terms. So let's go back to our payment terms real quick. We've got 50% down and signature. So we're going to say online signature yes, online payment yes, and 50% down. So we've got our sales order set up right here. We're going to set the payment terms to our new 50% down and signature. So we changed it. It's not changing this right now because we haven't saved it yet. Let's go ahead and save. And you can see it brought across our Booleans and the percent of the online payment that we're requiring here. So that there is how you use a snake, Python, to do a little bit of advanced updating for you. Again, there is a third way, but like I said, it's considered by most in the community as sort of black magic, so please drop a comment if you want to see that. As always, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate the support. Next time we're going to be talking about webhooks and all the powerful things you can do with those, so stay tuned.